All right, it's Mr. Woger here, and we're going to be going over the Number Corner Day One Activity One. So this is the first activity for the year of September 2020, and we're going to do this to do a little repeat. We're going to teach it in class, but if some of the parents want to listen to it too, or if you're gone, or if you just didn't quite get something, you can repeat this and watch this video again. So you are either going to be seeing this on the first or second, depends on the day you're coming in to school. Depends on your alphabet of your last name. All right, so we're going to be doing a little bit of a Egyptian theme, going back in some of the history of mathematics. And remember that this is the number corner part, so it's going to be like our calendar grid observation, and then our collector later on. Today, we're going to be going over some of the calendar grid. So if you look at it, Egypt is in Africa. Okay, so a lot of people don't realize where it's located. It's in northern Africa, and here it is again. And if you look there, right here is the Nile River, and the Nile River is the life giver for them. First, like it floods regularly, and then it gave fertile land so they could farm a long time ago. So we're going to be thinking about ancient Egypt and a little bit of today, but I mean, like more of the ancient Egypt a long time ago. And then also they could transport things around easier on there with boats. So all their big cities and all their pyramids and all this stuff were right on that river, the Nile. And I will attach this to a kid explain history. He's hilarious. And he's going to explain a little bit more about ancient Egypt. Some of his things are not totally accurate when they have like pyramids and all this stuff. But um, but it's pretty cool. I'll put that link too on here. All right, so this is one of the pyramids that everybody knows today. It's kind of the Pyramid of Giza, and you can see it's kind of ruined, and like it looks like it's eroded off on that because a long time ago, what they did, they put limestone on there, and limestone can polish really white, and then on the top they put like a gold, like a granite capstone, uh, uh, and then or capstone, and then they put gold over it too. So here it goes. This is what they think it would look like a long time ago. So it was really they're meant to look like this, real slick sides, all polished white, and a glowing like top that looked like the sun. It was like made out of gold alloy, like a mixture of a couple of different metals. So when the sun hit it, would beam. Then, like, an earthquake happened and a lot of this fell down, all that limestone, and, then people just started taking it. Alright, so we're gonna go a little bit over pharaohs. Pharaohs are like the kings. They're the people they ruled the people, of Egypt, and ancient Egyptians believed that the pharaohs were a god in human form. So, they looked at these guys and said, they're just like a god. Therefore, they were considered both king and god. So they were pretty important. People just listened to them. And there was a hierarchy, which means who's the most important and who's the least important in their society. So if you look at the most important, again, they would put it closer to the god, really on the top. Um, is the pharaoh, like the king. Sometimes there was queens later on, but they were the closest one because they were godlike. Then it was the government officials, nobles, and priests. Soldiers were right below them. They were pretty important. They would train to protect the city, built, shot like arrows and bows too. So these guys were considered pretty important. And the scribes. The scribes are people who write down things, I guess, and like in their language. They would stories, and that's great because that's how we know what happened a long time ago with the hieroglyphics. And these were men in this role right here too. So the scribes were considered pretty important. Then the merchants, these are guys who sold things. These are the craftsmen, a little bit below, built things, and then the farmers and the slaves were on the bottom. So, why we're going to be going into that a little bit with this is that one of the earliest records of math is from Egypt. So a lot of our math started that. So we're going to look at some of the foundations or early history of math. The Egyptians studied the science of geometry too to help them build the pyramids, and they're super accurate with that too. And around 5,000 years ago, they started more advanced math. So again, one of the earliest ones they used geometry, which is of course like a shapes and measurements and angles to help build the pyramid. And then it's about 5,000 years ago, they even got more advanced. So that's a long time ago. So this is some of the foundation or the start that we know of mathematics. So in this, why are we going into this a little bit with this number corner in our calendar collector or an observation? We're going to be counting like Egyptians. So each month we're going to have a new calendar grid. We will look for patterns along the markers, and a couple times a week we're going to stop and make some predictions. All right, so let's just look at a little bit right here. This is one of the first symbols that came at the number one. And this was just really, I mean, it's in almost every society now. That's a one. And they think that that happens with like hunters and gatherers from a long time ago, how to count things like, hey, I caught some fish. Um, and how many fish did I catch? One. And it was easy to mark like into, sometimes they use bone, sometimes they use like wood, and they could carve easily the number one into it by just a slash. If I caught three fish, 1, 2, 3. Now there does come a problem with this if I caught a lot of fish, or maybe I'm trying to figure out how many fish I caught all season, and or how many the village had. Now the Egyptians liked to measure things and keep count of objects. So if you had a lot of them, they're like, holy cow, I'm going to have to keep doing all these little slashes forever. That's not really practical. So then they started to exchange some of those, where you could, trade them in for bigger, so different symbols that represented bigger numbers. All right. So what we're going to do is we're in class, we're going to reveal what the first date was. On when we come in the second, September 2nd to the other half, we'll do the number two, and we're going to go look over this too. So on day one, this is the first one that'll come up, and it's this number. It's like an upside down cup, which is considered the heel bone right here, the back part of your foot, of the part of the pharaoh. And and we can look at this and hear that number one, our modern day numbers, or numerals or numbers, it'd be a one. They called it a staff because they would carry, a lot of the god pictures are carrying these staffs around. So this first one we're going to do is you would put date would be September 1st. What did we have when we flipped it? We had the heel bone and the staff. So our modern number would be, I'll pause, dramatic pause. Hopefully got 11, because it would be one heel bone 10 plus one staff. 10 plus 1 is 11. Now they had the staff, the heel bone, and the scroll. A scroll is like something that you would could write on like a papyrus or a piece of paper, but they would roll it up. So it's like a scroll, the rolled piece of papyrus, or paper. Okay, that's 100. And they even had bigger numbers where to go into to two. So on this calendar grid that's going to be right up in the front, it'll be called calendar grid observation. Have the date, we'll put September 1st. The ancient Egyptian number, the heel bone, and the staff, we'll write that down. And then the modern number right here. Then on September 2nd, they're going to flip the second one, and then we're going to determine what it is too. I'm just going to leave that for now because we're going to do that in class. So on the days we don't talk about the calendar, some of the student helper is just going to go up there and flip it. So to say this is the first, we flip it and we'll see that symbol. Flip this one here, we'll see the symbol. Then we're going to go into our grid. write the date, what Egyptian number is it, and what is our modern equivalent number to it. Remember, this was 10 plus 1 is 11. And we're going to continue that all the way down through the whole month. Now, if we don't talk about it, like on these 2 days, we're going to talk about it. And maybe on these 2 days, there'll be times where we're going to look at it as a whole class. But if, say, on this Monday here, we don't, and it's your job to flip it. So we'll have student helpers that are going to flip it. They have to write it all in. They're going to actually have to do Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, 3 of them to do it. And then we might not even look at it right then. We might look at it on Tuesday to look at patterns. Now, remember, all these always look for patterns. What happened here? We had 11. Then we see the next one on Tuesday, the 2nd, and we'll sit there and see another one. And then we'll look at those and try to make predictions, maybe for 3rd and 4th when we see it. So there's always a hidden pattern on these, and you've been doing these for a while, so a couple of years, so you know that there's a hidden pattern. We're going to look at those patterns as well. And another thing we're going to be doing too is looking at some of our computational fluency, which means how quick can we accurately do it in our head, some numbers. And we're going to be working on some of those this month as well in September. So, okay, after this, if you want to watch that video, fine. Again, remember, for parents, this is just some background knowledge of what we're doing. Kids, is if you heard it and you say, I still didn't get some of that, or I want to watch that video again that he showed in class, awesome, you can do that. Kids who are sick, or like say you're on vacation or something like that, you still be able to see what we're doing. All right, thanks.